Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about Coca-Cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Tonight, schools receive first payment under the government's free education initiative. Sodelpa says it's surprised by Fijians applying to become political candidates in 2014. And police force commends Fijians for an incident-free New Year's. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and this is FBC News. More than $6.9 million was deposited into the bank accounts of 415 schools today. Ritika Pratap reports this is the beginning of the government's promise of free education.
School committees have been asked to ensure that their bank accounts are operational so that the grants for Term 1 are successfully deposited. The Education Ministry has already briefed schools on how to use the money.
I have been told on the guideline of how the money is to be used, how many percentage goes to stationery, how much for furniture, how much for IT and so forth. So I am requesting school committees to purchase all the necessary resources so the schools are ready to start on 20th of January.
Primary schools for the first term will receive $84 per child. Forms 3 and 4 in secondary schools will get $147 per child. Forms 5 and 6 $162. And the Form 7 grant is $204 per child.
In the past, the amount of grant given to schools was much smaller than what they will receive now. We are happy that the grants have been increased. That will reduce the burden on the parents, and at the same time, the schools will not be required to do much of fundraising and burden parents on anything.
With about 20 days before school begins, Dr. Lal says parents have no excuse for not being prepared.
School is around the corner. Prepare by looking at all the stores that there is too much of bargaining you can do, and buy the best stuff for uniform, shoes, bags and so forth. Children to start preparing, start looking at the subjects they will be doing in the textbooks and so forth.
All Term 1 grants will reach schools by next Friday. In the meantime, the ministry has given until March for all audited accounts to reach the head office. Ritika Pratap, FBC News.
The top 600 students from the Fiji 7th form exam will be given scholarships by the government. Students need to apply to the newly established Tertiary Scholarship and Loans Board by next Friday. Christopher Chand reports thousands of other students can apply for loans.
The National Topper Scheme will fully fund students' tertiary education in priority areas chosen by the government.
Top 600, that's a lot of people. That, you know, and when you develop this group of people, they will become the core of your next generation of managers and professionals.
Those who miss out need not despair. Soft loans from the government can help cover the cost of university studies.
Also helping people who qualify to have loans so that, you know, they can actually get a qualification, you know, get their tertiary education and stay in Fiji and contribute to Fiji's development in the future.
Sito says the new government initiative will help build a new generation of skilled workforce.
I think this scholarship and loan scheme has a very vital role to play in the development of Fiji, especially in the human resource side of things, because, you know, money you can borrow, machinery you can buy, but people you got to develop.
With the FSFE results out on New Year's Eve, students now have the opportunity to apply for scholarship and loans under the new board. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
The Social Democratic Liberal Party, SODELPA, says it is overwhelmed by the number of applications it has received from people interested in contesting the 2014 elections under its banner. Apisalome Doka has more.
SODELPA has received a huge number of applications since it advertised for applications last month.
We're really receiving a lot of interest, both from very experienced politicians. We have the new politicians from the mid-level, like very well qualified people in that category. Then, of course, we have the young people. And the really big surprise for us is the young people who are applying to contest the election.
The party will have a lot to choose from to give it a good blend of candidates.
What we really need is a mix of experienced politicians. Some have just served maybe for a term in parliament, of course, the new politicians.
The General Secretary says those who still have not sent in the applications can do so, even though they had stated applications close on the 31st of December.
We're really encouraging more people to apply, from communities like the Rutumans, Kipanap, and Solomon Islanders, the minorities. We feel that they also need representation in parliament.
The party is yet to name a leader. The selection committee will decide on that at some stage later. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
Fiji Police Chief of Operations Rutsiate Tunravu has commended the hard work of the force over the festive season. Tunravu says the last 2 days, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, didn't see any major incidents. He also thanked the public for its support in obeying the law and keeping safe.
Our mission is for the public at large to enjoy themselves in the festive season. So with all of the resources and the manpower we have and all the planning that we have done, we have managed to put all our effort from Christmas up to New Year, and I would like to thank them.
Tunravu also says one of the most notable factors was that children were mostly accompanied by family members to night events. Still to come, Methodist Church plans 5 years of progress.
Today FM is #1 here in Singatoka.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Subah.
Lodo kasi love Today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Buniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Nambula FM erkrake taletaki.
Gonga Lambasa, Bula FM, number 2 na sere.
Ando taletang na borong ng Bula FM, number 2 na sere su.
Kau buat itu gara-garaki, au rebot juga nistima, au ando taletang na borong ng Bula.
Kalau benar Fiji, Bula FM, number 2 Singatoka.
Bula bina, eran roga, Bula FM, number 2 Tikonga.
Bula FM, number 2 na sere.
Welcome back. This is FBC News. 100 Sands Limited, the developers of Fiji's first ever casino project, have failed to start construction at their new site on Denarau. The ongoing troubles continue into the new year, despite earlier reassurances that it would begin towards the end of 2013. Owner Larry Claunch has declined to comment on the issue, only saying that they are proceeding with their plans to build a casino and convention center. Since announcing their new location in June, they have only managed to put up a signboard and complete initial landscaping. This is the only development, a helipad that is being used by Helicopters Fiji. The government issued 100 Sands Limited with an ultimatum in October last year to show cause or their exclusive casino license would be cancelled. The Methodist Church will work on its first connectional plan this year, a sort of corporate plan for the religious body. Epeli Tokoasu reports the plan will run for the next 5 years.
The church will trial its plan in 3 divisions, Suba, Subabo and Maduata. The connectional plan begins next month.
We have established 12 pillars, and the first of which is our soul, our spiritual life. So many focuses I have been focusing on that, and there are 11 others, including the development of the properties.
Reverend Nawandra says, through this new initiative, the church also plans to address some of the social issues affecting the congregation.
During this last time, we have had lots of difficulties in people pulling their own ways. And our unity was sort of lost because of no cohesive planning.
The Methodist Church wants to become more financially independent, so the 5-year plan will include developing properties to generate income.
This church is the third largest landowner in Fiji, apart from the Itoke Land Transport and the government. So we need to develop those to help the church in its operations.
Work on the Navuso Agricultural School is an example of how the church is becoming more active. Epeli Tukwasa, FBC News.
As we enter the new year, people have made resolutions to better their lives. FBC News was at the Raiwai Methodist Church in Suva as people came in big numbers to greet 2014. Apisalome Doka reports.
For this community in Raiwai in Suva, New Year's celebration was all about spiritual guidance. Old and young, hundreds turned up at the church not only to welcome the new year, but to also farewell their minister who's completed 5 years at the church. Church members also spoke about their plans for 2014.
That would be to pass all my exams and listen to my parents. Thanks.
I will want to better all that I have been working on from last year.
My New Year's resolution is to improve services I provide to Sunday school here in Raiwai. I am the head of the committee, and we had weaknesses last year which we would like to improve this year.
Even the Raiwai Methodist Church has a resolution for its members and the work of the church.
We would go beyond what we have done so far, or we have been allowed to do so far, in as far as evangelism and reaching out to other people. So far we have been concentrating on our own church members, the Fijian community, and I think what the minister has said today has set the agenda for us for next year.
The celebrations at Raiwai ended with a feast and a few bowls of kava. Apisolome Doka, FBC News.
In sports, selection into the national sevens team still possible. And veteran golfer calls for better facilities to lift the profile of the sport. That's coming up.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची एफएम लंबा साथी.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tauba में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singapore, love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम इंग्लिश लंबा सा में रहता है. तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची एफएम सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Ito Singapore kung tali ta na barong na radio Fijuan na station yang mutua.
Ako na poro ko na talitak. Mandau talitak dia na barong radio Fijuan.
Kitongo isu untuk tali ta na barong na radio Fijuan na station yang mutua.
Keto talitak na radio Fijuan. Na radio Fijuan and do talitak talanga Singapore.
A station in Machino Pinatia na radio Fijuan. Pagkukuhan kayanyan.
Na Radio Fijuan nandumay bitin na bongga ni BNN.
Welcome back. This is FBC Sports. The door remains open for players to fight for a spot in the National Sevens squad for the rest of the IRB series. National Sevens coach Ben Ryan says his support team has been monitoring players outside the national training squad who have been impressive during local tournaments. There are currently 23 players preparing for the Las Vegas and Wellington tournaments. But Ryan says rugby hopefuls should continue to put in the hard yards as there is still a long way to go in the World Series.
As with everything, the door's open, and I'm looking at a few others, and there's guys from certain other teams that aren't in that 23, but I'm certainly on my watching programme. So I'm it's new for me, all of this, and I certainly am nowhere near knowing all the full quality of player that's available on the island. So that's why it has to be an open policy, and I have to make sure that I give everyone a chance.
The next tournament will be held in Las Vegas, USA on the 24th to the 26th of this month. Fiji is currently ranked third on the series points table with 48 points. New Zealand leads the standing with 58 points, followed by South Africa on 56 points. National golfers must have access to top golf courses to better prepare them for international tournaments. These were the words of Fiji Golf Club board member and renowned local golfer Veramu Rokotavanga. The chairman of the Fiji Golf Club Match Committee says exposing our local players to international standard courses will certainly lift their performance overseas. According to Rokotavanga, golfers can only get better if they are exposed to top-level facilities.
Like if there are a selected Fiji representative, they must use that golf course. For an example, take Pacific Harbour, Natandola, and Denarau. They are an 18-hole golf course, and they are very challenging, and it will be a good challenge to our future Fiji representative.
Meanwhile, 15-year-old Nandi Muslim College student Barun Hussain will be competing in the NEC Australian Master of Amateurs competition in Melbourne, Victoria, which tees off next Monday. The loss of cattle due to brucellosis cost the dairy industry an estimated 640,000 litres of raw milk. According to a statement by the Fiji Cooperative Dairy Company Limited Chief Executive Sachidanand, the industry fell short of expectations last year. Nand says about 350 milking cows were put down to stop the spread of brucellosis. However, the cooperative managed to achieve close to its predicted 10 million litres of milk. A mill is expected to be set up in the next few months to provide balanced feed mix and help cattle get a proper diet. And here's Genevieve to give us some hope for the weekend.
Thanks, Jackie. Good to see you've added more sarcasm to your list of resolutions. I'll have to add more comebacks to mine. We had some showers over the interior and eastern parts of the larger islands, as well as afternoon thunderstorms. There's also a possibility of thunderstorms this evening. Quite a warm Thursday for most centers in the country. 33 degrees in Suva and Lombasa is the highest, while 32 in Nandi, the Sugar City, and Savu is the lowest temperature today. It's going to be another wet day tomorrow. Friday sees showers again for the interior and eastern parts of Fiji. Elsewhere will be fine, apart from afternoon or evening showers. And that's weather, but before I go, here's a picture of the famous clock here in Suva, nicknamed Big Ben. Okay, so it's not as big as the original Big Ben, but it's close enough for us.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. A recap of our main news tonight. Schools receive first payment under the government's free education initiative. SODELPA says it's surprised by Fijians applying to become political candidates in 2014. And police force commends Fijians for an incident-free New Year's. To this week's poll question, we're asking, should we have late-night shopping? Visit our FBC website to answer. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your stories at FBC News or simply hashtag FBC News. That's news for tonight. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good evening.
Bato bahe, बामे रेडियो Fiji 2 के कौन सा के रोके ऑनलाइन क्लियर
रेडियो Fiji 2 रकी के लोग ज्यादा सुनते हैं।
लैंडी में हम सबकी पसंद रेडियो Fiji 2।
तालेबू के लोग रेडियो Fiji 2 सबसे ज्यादा सुन रहे हैं।
मेरी पसंद रेडियो Fiji 2, नसूरी में सभी को पसंद रेडियो Fiji 2। टावा में रेडियो Fiji 2 सभी कोई सुनते हैं। रेडियो Fiji 2 रॉक।
रेडियो Fiji 2 I love you।
देश की धड़कन रेडियो Fiji 2।